SNAP Halt reveals food access and resilience gap. The November 2025 halt of SNAP benefits for millions marks a sharp warning sign for the U.S. social safety net and for companies working on resilience, supply chains, and energy access. What's happening with SNAP? The federal government shutdown, which began on October 1, 2025, has halted the distribution of November Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, SNAP benefits, affecting more than 42 million Americans, roughly 1 in 8. According to the U.S. Department of Agriculture, USDA, contingency funds that typically sustain the program during short-term budget gaps have been exhausted. Bottom line, the well has run dry, the agency said in a late October memo. While several federal judges in Massachusetts and Rhode Island have ordered the administration to use remaining contingency funds to continue payments, available reserves total only about $5 billion, short of the roughly $9 billion needed to cover a full month of benefits, according to the Washington Post. The abrupt suspension marks the first time in SNAP's history that nationwide benefit distribution has been interrupted. Why it matters beyond hunger. SNAP is more than a food assistance program. Research from the USDA Economic Research Service shows that participation improves household food security and stabilizes spending on other essentials. The Urban Institute found that SNAP benefit increases kept nearly 3 million people out of poverty in 2021. For businesses and infrastructure planners, this disruption exposes how social stability, food access, and community resilience are interconnected. Households that rely on SNAP often also experience high energy burdens, limited access to transportation, and greater exposure to climate-related risks like flooding and extreme heat. When food assistance falters, local economies can feel the shock. Families may divert limited funds toward groceries at the expense of energy bills or medical costs, which in turn affects utility collections, local retail, and workforce stability. These ripple effects illustrate that food insecurity is an environmental and economic issue, not just a social one. Corporate infrastructure and ESG implications. For corporations reporting under ESG frameworks, the SNAP suspension underscores the growing importance of the S in ESG. Access to food and basic utilities has become a key indicator of social equity in reporting standards, such as GRI 413, local communities, and SASB's consumer goods metrics. Retailers, food manufacturers, and logistics providers should monitor shifting consumer patterns as millions lose purchasing power. Meanwhile, energy and infrastructure companies must recognize that the same households affected by food insecurity are also those least able to invest in home weatherization or withstand prolonged power outages. Programs that integrate food access, energy affordability, and resilience planning, for instance, utility partnerships with food bank networks, could help stabilize vulnerable communities during future federal funding lapses. Policy and climate context. The SNAP suspension comes amid elevated food prices, up roughly 25% since 2020, according to the Bureau of Labor Statistics. Climate-driven droughts and floods continue to threaten crop yields across major U.S. agricultural regions. In a separate development, the USDA recently suspended its annual Household Food Security Report, a key data source that helps policymakers track hunger trends, leaving researchers and advocates without up-to-date metrics at a critical time. Some states, including Louisiana and Vermont, have begun allocating emergency funds to keep benefits flowing, but few can fully offset a federal shortfall of this scale. Nonprofits like Feeding America have warned of rising demand across their networks as households exhaust savings. From a climate resilience perspective, the loss of federal nutrition assistance creates cascading risks for local systems, from food distribution to workforce productivity, when combined with environmental stressors such as extreme weather and rising utility costs. What to watch? Will Congress approve a continuing resolution or supplemental appropriation to restore funding? How will state governments and food bank networks adapt to meet emergency demand? Will corporate ESG frameworks evolve to include food security indicators alongside climate and energy metrics? Can local resilience programs bridge social and environmental infrastructure gaps before the next crisis? Political gridlock. The suspension of SNAP benefits may be a temporary consequence of political gridlock, but its implications reach far beyond food assistance. Food access is foundational to resilience. When millions of Americans lose that foundation, the effects ripple across the systems that energy, infrastructure, and sustainability professionals are trying to fortify. For any organization committed to long-term sustainability, ensuring that people can eat and adapt must be part of the plan. You've been listening to Sustainability Soundbites presented by E+E Leader. For partnership opportunities, reach out to a member of our team.